All right, I am back with my newest book review for elementary school students. The title is Captain Awesome, and as always, I check to see if it's part of a series. It is indeed part of a series. This book is called Captain Awesome Goes to Superhero Camp, so nice little theme, right? All having to do with superheroes and going to camp, putting those two together. There are actually 24 books in the Captain Awesome series. So if we're looking for a series, which I always am, it would be great if this is a great series for your child to read or your students to read. All right, so here's the synopsis. Eugene's bags are packed and his super dude sleeping bag is rolled up and ready. It's time to go to superhero summer camp. Captain Awesome and the Sunnyview superhero squad can't wait to venture into the woods and get some real superhero training at Camp Kapow. That is, until they meet the Cloudy Heights super crew. Mighty. All right. First of all, it's in the format of a chapter book. There are 118 pages. It is broken up into chapters. There are a total of 11 chapters. There are pictures throughout, and the font is very easy on the eyes. So let's see a little bit of that here. So as you can see, and this is what I'm always looking for, is what is the ratio of words to pictures on the page? And it's pretty decent. I mean, it's definitely not super text heavy, which is helpful for those early readers. So I do like that for this reason. And I do like that the font size is a decent size. Again, easier for reading and for fluency. Here's something I want to make note of, though. This book is actually geared towards 1st through 4th grade. Okay. And I would say, as always, while that seems pretty encouraging, 1st through 4th grade, to be quite honest, as a teacher, that is a pretty big gap between, so basically children that just came out of kindergarten and children that are going into 5th grade, that is a pretty large gap. So I would say, as I was reading through this book, I thought, if you're having your 1st grader read this book, you are definitely reading it very, very slowly, really going through whether or not they're comprehending what they're reading. Now, I can see a scenario where you could read through this book just first for fluency, to see if we can start to build in all the spelling rules and the reading rules that have to do with phonograms. So that would be a nice way to do it, right? Take a couple pages, go through it, listen to how they're reading the words, helping them sound out the words and those sorts of things. But fluency is quite different from literacy, reading for literacy, or reading for comprehension. And that's something, as I say, I've known it, as a teacher, but I really got to experience it in real time when we're talking about 3rd grade is the benchmark for whether or not we have literate children, that they are actually reading and comprehending what they're reading. And so, and I think I'm going to do a whole video on this. I kind of want to do a side-by-side of what I'm envisioning when I'm saying to a parent, I want the child as homework to read for 20 minutes a day. Okay. I think many times what we're doing, if we're not careful, is we're looking this up. We're saying, oh, this is a great book, 1st through 4th grade. You're in 3rd grade. I'm handing you this book. I'll turn on the timer, 20 minutes, stop reading. And the problem with that is that is really not getting at what the intention of the homework is. The intention of reading homework is that they are getting a chance to practice competent, literate reading, right? And so, for example, to sit side by side with a first grader, let's say, and page 1 says, "Give me a status update, team," Captain Awesome called from the head of the pack. Captain Awesome, Supersonic Sal, Nacho Cheese Man were pedaling their cycles of justice as fast as they could, and they were on the lookout for danger. "No alien invasion," shouted Supersonic Sal. Okay, so let me see if I can get a close-up on this. So if you are a first grader, can you see how many of those books, oh, it's backwards. Can you see how many of those words that you actually would understand what it is that you're reading, right? And so that's why when we're talking about sitting down and having reading homework, we really got to understand what the goal is behind this reading, okay? Because as I say, what I noticed is that a lot of kids, because I had a library in my classroom, that's where all these books come from. They would get a book and they would read and they would devour it, and then you would ask them questions about it, and they really couldn't understand what it was that they read, but they read all the words on the page. Okay, so let me get back to the review of this, but I just wanted to give you kind of a mindset of what I am thinking when I'm talking about, is this a good reader for your child, okay? If you have a first through fourth grader, I think this is a fantastic reader. If you need something that you want to just hand off to a first grader, this would not be the book to give them. You could probably give it to a third grader. You would definitely give it to a fourth grader, but a first grader or a second grader, you need to be sitting side by side with them, because there's way too many words where, are they saying it correctly? Are they looking at the word status, status, and are they saying status, or are they saying stat-us? Or are they even sounding that out? Or are they getting confused because they haven't seen all those letters together before, and they don't know that they should be breaking it up into syllables? These are the things that when you're sitting side by side with them, you're going to be able to pick up on that pretty quickly. Also, okay, you know how to say the word status. Do you know what status means? Can you figure out from the context clues in that sentence what they're talking about when he says, "Give me a status update, team"? Okay, so these are the things, again, paying attention to what it is that they're reading. It can be a very fun read. It can be a good bonding time between the two of you. But the goal is not, I've read 20 books in this semester. The goal is, am I reading for literacy and for comprehension? So I would say, all in all, this is a cute little story. Let me see if I can give you kind of a sense of what this the humor is in this story, because it is a very fun story. Now, there's a nemesis in the story, as you might guess. There's lots of kids' dialogue in here, but it's really nicely written. They've given nice sentences where your child is going to be interacting with adjectives and adverbs and conjunctions and how they work in a sentence, which is also very nice. But I would say, once again, those are conversations you could have alongside reading the story. So here's an example of the wittiness in the story. It says, "Super dude duffel bag." He's taking things to go on a mission, and he says, "He's stolen our beds. We might be bunking with secret bad guys. I'll bring my extra cheese," Nacho Cheese Man said. "Evil hates cheese in a can." So, again, it's a really sweet story. Really nice pictures. Again, I think I mentioned in the last video, Pug Pals. If you haven't seen my whole series on all the different books that I'm reviewing, please go back. But this is another one where you could almost see that kids might be invited to color the pictures if they wanted to, and that's totally up to you if you want your children to do that. But yeah, all in all, I would say this is a really cute series. And bonus, there's 24 books in this series as at last checking in 2024, and I would highly recommend it for second grade, third grade. I think fourth grade, if you have a more advanced reader, may not really be interested in this. And first grade, I would definitely say, if you are going to read through the series, it needs to be a side-by-side reading. If you have any books that you would like me to review, please make sure and put the name of it down in the comments.